Welcome to Basic Electrical Engineering. In this lecture, we will discuss about another type of machine that is called the synchronous machine. So first we'll discuss about the synchronous generator, and in next lecture we'll discuss about the synchronous motor. So let's start. The synchronous machine is a machine which always run at a constant speed. This is called the synchronous speed. That's why the name of this machine is the synchronous machine. The AC system is exclusively used for the generation, transmission, and distribution of the electrical power nowadays. And the synchronous generator or the alternator is an electrical machine that converts the mechanical power from a prime mover into an AC electrical power at a particular voltage and frequency. So a synchronous machine is an AC machine whose satisfactory operation depends upon the maintenance of the following relationship. And the relationship is Ns is equal to 120 F upon P, or we can write F is equal to P into Ns upon 120. Here F is the frequency, P is the number of pole, and Ns is called the synchronous speed. Therefore, when this machine is operating as a synchronous motor, therefore, depending upon the frequency of the supply and depending upon the number of pole in stator, the value of Ns will be constant, which is considered as the synchronous speed. That means a synchronous motor will always run at a speed which is called the synchronous speed. Similarly, if the machine is operating as a generator, then using some prime mover, the rotor of the machine is to rotate with a speed that is called the ns, and p is the number of pole in the stator. So depending upon this formula, the frequency of the induced EMF will be developed. Now the frequency should be constant, therefore the speed of the rotor will always be constant. Therefore the synchronous generator, which is also considered as the alternator, is a machine which is particularly used in different power stations to generate the electrical power. So Ns is the synchronous speed that we have mentioned. F is the frequency, supply frequency, and P is the number of pole of the machine. In case when the synchronous machine is operating as a generator, it has to run at a fixed speed that is called the synchronous speed to generate the power at a particular frequency that we have mentioned here. The machine should run with a constant speed that is called the synchronous speed. The number of pole of the machine will be also constant. So therefore, depending upon this formula, the frequency of the induced EMF will also be constant. As all the appliances or the machines are designed to operate at this frequency, that is 50 Hz in case of India. That's why the synchronous machine is preferred, or we can say the synchronous generator is preferred to produce the electrical energy in different power stations. Let's see the construction of the synchronous machine. The main part of the alternator or the synchronous generator is obviously uh, the two parts, that is the stator and the rotor, like any other machine. The synchronous machine is also of two parts, that is the stator and the rotor, where stator is the stationary part and rotor is the rotating part. But unlike other machines, in most of the alternator, field exciters are rotating and the armature coil is stationary. That means in case of synchronous machine, the armature winding is always placed in stator and the field windings are placed in rotor. And if we recall the other type of machines that we have discussed earlier, whether it is a DC machine or the induction machine, in all the machines, the field winding is always placed in the stator and the armature winding is placed in the rotor. But here, in case of synchronous machine, it is just opposite. There are different type of reasons behind this that we'll discuss later. Unlike in other machines, the stator of an alternator is not meant to serve the path for the magnetic flux. As we have told, the stator winding is the armature winding. So instead, the stator is used for holding the armature winding. The stator core is made of lamination of steel alloys or magnetic iron, that is to minimize the eddy current losses. Like in other machines, the stator is also made by the thin laminated sheets of silicon steel, that is to reduce the eddy current loss and hysteresis loss. Where the rotors are of two types, which is used in synchronous generator. First one is called the salient pole machine or salient pole rotor. Second one is called the cylindrical type rotor or the cylindrical machine. So here the figure of the cylindrical type rotor and the salient type rotors are shown here. In case of cylindrical rotor, the air gap between stator and rotor is uniform. So here the rotor is cylindrical in shape like other machines in case of DC machine or in case of induction motor. So this is the cylindrical type rotor. It is also considered as a non-salient type rotor. On the other hand, in case of salient type machine, the rotor is like this. So it is a projected pole and the air gap between stator and rotor is not uniform. As we can see, the air gap in this part is minimum and the air gap here is maximum. So basically, the salient type rotors are used for low speed applications, whereas the cylindrical rotors are used in high speed applications. That we will discuss one by one. In all the cases, the DC supply is given to the rotor winding through the slip rings and brushes arrangement. So here, why the armature winding is placed in the stator and the field winding is placed in the rotor, that we can discuss here. Normally, the EMF which is induced, which is produced by the synchronous generator, it is three-phase in nature. That is developed in the different power stations. So we know that the energy conversion, that means the mechanical energy converted to the electrical energy in case of generator, it happens in armature windings. Now, if the three-phase windings are placed on the rotor, therefore the weight of the rotor will be very high. So the inertia will also be very high. As a result, high external mechanical force will be required to rotate the rotor if the armature windings are placed on the rotor. Again, if the armature windings are placed in stator, then the heat that is produced in the armature windings, it can be easily dissipated by using proper insulation, because in the stationary part we can use any number of insulations. The weight does not matter if the armature windings are placed on the stator. So that's why in case of synchronous machine, the armature winding is always placed in the stator, and in case of rotor, it is the field winding is placed on the rotor, and normally the DC supply is given to the rotor winding, which is used to produce a constant magnetic field. Now let's discuss about the two types of the alternator one by one. So first one is the salient type rotor or the salient type synchronous generator. The salient pole type rotor is used in low and medium speed alternators. So this is the figure of a salient pole rotor. Here, this is the main part of the rotor which is connected with the shaft. This is the projected pole, and on this projected pole, the field windings are placed. This is the pole two, as we have seen in case of DC machines. So when the DC power supply is given to these poles, then a constant magnetic field is produced, and this magnetic field pole will be alternate in nature. That means if this is the north pole, then it will be the south pole, then again it will be the north pole, and again it will be the south pole. The salient type rotor may be of two pole machine, maybe of four pole machine, maybe of six pole machines, and so on. So as the poles are projected here, and the air gap between stator and rotor is not uniform, therefore this type of machines are basically used for low or medium speed applications, because the inertia of this motor is also very high. Inertia of this machine is also very high. This is also called the projected pole type, as all the poles are projected out from the surface of the rotor, that we can see in this figure. The poles are projected outside from the main structure. The poles are bolted to the rotor on a magnetic wheel. So these poles are basically bolted with the rotor structure. These poles are also laminated, which is basically used to minimize the eddy current losses. The pole face has been given a specific shape, that is the requirement of the rotor. So the pole face, or we can say the pole shoe, is of a specific shape. The field winding is provided on the pole shoe that we have mentioned earlier. So alternators featuring this type of rotor are large in diameter and short in axial length. As we can see, the air gap between stator and rotor is not uniform, and the poles are projected outside. So as a whole, the diameter of the rotor is very high. Similarly, its axial length is very low because the field windings are placed on the projected poles. Therefore, it is not required to increase the axial length. The limiting factor of the size of the rotor is the centrifugal force acting on the rotating part of the machine. As the poles are projected outside, therefore, during rotation, there will be centrifugal force developed on the rotor, and it may damage the structure of the rotor. Therefore, the size of the rotor and the speed of the rotor is basically limited by the size of the rotating part. As the mechanical strength of the salient pole type is less, so this is preferred for the low speed alternators ranging from 300 rpm to 50 rpm. So this is basically the range of the speed for a salient type rotor. The prime mover used to drive such type of rotors are generally water turbine and the IC engines. As we know that the uh, generators, synchronous generator is used to produce electrical energy. So here to rotate the rotor, we have to use some mechanical power, and this mechanical power is provided by some turbine. So in thermal power station, we use the uh, thermal turbine. In case of hydroelectric power station, we use the water turbine. We use the IC engine also. So generally, for water turbine and for IC engines, the speed of the turbine is reduced. Therefore, for salient type alternator or salient type synchronous generator, where the prime mover is the water turbine or the IC engine, there this type of machines can be used. Next is the cylindrical type synchronous generator or alternator. It is also considered as the non-salient type or non-projected pole type or round rotor. So here the structure of the cylindrical type rotor is shown here. So it is a cylindrical in shape where the number of slots are present on the periphery of the rotor and the field windings are placed on it. So here the air gap between the stator and the rotor is uniform. The cylindrical type rotors are used in high-speed alternators, especially in case of turbo alternators. The turbo alternator means where the speed is more than 1500 rpm. These are called the turbo alternators. So for that type of applications, normally the cylindrical type rotors are used. This rotor consists of a smooth, solid steel cylinder having a number of slots to accommodate the field coil that we have mentioned here. There are a number of slots on the periphery of the rotor and the field windings are placed on this rotor. These slots are covered at the top with the help of the steel or the manganese wedges. The unslotted portion of the cylinder itself acts as a pole. So there are some part of the cylinder where there is no uh, slots are there. So this can be act as a pole of the rotor. The poles are not projecting out and the surface of the rotor is smooth, which maintains a uniform air gap between stator and the rotor. So this rotor have small diameter and large axial length. As we can see the structure here, the length of the axial length of this rotor is generally very high, whereas the diameter is small compared to the salient type rotor. These rotors are designed mostly for two-pole or four-pole turbo generator that is running at a speed of 3000 rpm or 1500 rpm respectively. This is to keep the peripheral speed within the limits. The main advantage of this type is that these are mechanically very strong and thus preferred for high-speed alternators that is ranging from 1500 to 3000 rpm. So such high-speed alternators are basically called as the turbo alternators. The prime mover used to drive such type of rotor are generally the steam turbine or the electric motors that basically used in case of thermal power station, that is the steam turbine, and using electrical motors also we can achieve this amount of speed. So the cylindrical type rotors are basically preferred for this type of prime mover. Next is the stator and the stationary armature winding in alternator. The stator in the synchronous generator has three-phase stationary armature windings. This consists of a core and the slots to hold the armature winding, similar to the armature of a DC generator. If we recall the DC generator, we have seen that there are slots in the inner surface of the stator, like here it is shown. So the stator windings, which is the armature winding, three-phase armature winding, these armature windings are basically placed on these slots. The stator core basically uses a laminated construction. This is to reduce the eddy current, and the material is the silicon steel, which is used to reduce the hysteresis losses. It is made by the special steel stamping insulated from each other with varnish or paper. The laminated construction is basically to keep down the eddy current losses, and the silicon steel is basically used to reduce the hysteresis losses. At high voltages, that is around 30 kV or more, it is easier to insulate the stationary armature winding that we have mentioned earlier. When the voltage or the power level is very high, so we require huge amount of insulation so that there will be no accident or short circuiting. Therefore, we have to insulate the armature winding heavily. So this heavy armature insulated armature winding can be easily placed in the stationary part. If we place the armature in the rotor, then the inertia will be very high, so it will not be uh, possible. The high voltage output can be directly taken out from the stationary armature. So this is another advantage if the armature winding is placed in the stator, where the electrical energy is induced. So it can be easily taken out from the stationary part. So here we need not to use any slip rings or any other options. We can directly take out the induced EMF and we can give the power supply to the external circuit. Whereas for a rotary armature, there will be a large brush contact drop at higher voltage that we have seen in case of DC machine. When the rotor is rotating, so to collect the EMF induced in the rotor windings, you have to use the brushes, and there is sparking. And because of the sparking, the voltage drop occurs in the brush contacts. So this is not seen in case of synchronous generator. So here we can see the figure, the stator where the three-phase windings are placed. Basically, this figure is shown as a motor, but in case of generator, the construction is same. Here, a salient type two-pole rotor is used as a rotor. So when this rotor is rotating, then the magnetic field which is produced in the rotor winding, it will cut the rotor stator conductors. Then according to the Faraday law of electromagnetic induction, the three-phase EMF will be induced in the stator windings, that is the armature windings, and this EMF can be easily collected from the stator, that is the stationary part. So it is the power supply can be given to the external circuit. The field exciter winding is placed in rotor and the low DC voltage can be transferred safely. As we have already told, the field winding is placed on the rotor and there a constant DC supply is given to the rotor winding to produce the magnetic field. The armature winding can be braced well so as to prevent the deformation caused by the high centrifugal force. As the armature winding is placed in the stator, and if the rotor is rotating with a high speed, therefore it is not there is no chance of deformation of the armature winding because armature windings are placed in stator, which is the stationary part. So this is another reason that's why the armature windings are always placed in stator in case of a synchronous generator. Now the working principle of the alternator. The principle of operation of synchronous generator is electromagnetic induction, that is Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. If there exists a relative motion between the flux and conductors, then an EMF is induced in the conductor. Now, to understand the synchronous generator working principle, let us consider two opposite magnetic poles. In between them, a rectangular coil or turn is placed. That is shown in this figure. Here, two magnetic fields are used, that is the North Pole and the South Pole, and a coil of one turn is placed there. The two coil sides here is A, B, and C, D, where small a and small b is the axis of this coil. Now, this coil is basically made to rotate within this magnetic field. So, if the rectangular turn rotate in clockwise direction against the axis A and B, then after completing 90-degree rotation, the conductor sides A, B, and C, D come in front of the South Pole and the North Pole respectively. That means if initially, let's say this is the position of the coil, and now it starts to rotate in clockwise direction. Therefore, after 90 degree, the AB side of the coil will come under the South Pole or near the South Pole, and similarly the CD side will be come under the or near the North Pole. that is shown in this figure. The AP side is near the south pole and CD side is near the north pole. Thus, now we can say that the conductor's tangential motion is perpendicular to the magnetic flux line from north to south pole. So this is the position of the coil or rotation. This is the position of the magnetic field. So here the rate of flux cutting by the conductor is maximum and induces the current in the conductor. The direction of the induced current can be determined by using Fleming's right hand rule. Thus, we can say that the current will pass from A to B and from C to D. If the conductor is rotated in a clockwise direction for another 90 degrees, then it will come to a vertical position. So here the EMF which is induced in the coil after 90-degree rotation. So let's say the current direction is from A to B and the same current will flow from C to D because these two coils are in opposite sides. That means they are under the opposite magnetic poles. That's why according to the Fleming's right hand rule, we can easily find out the polarity of the induced EMF. Now let's say the coil is further rotated by 90 degrees. So now the CD part will be in the upper side and AP side will be in the lower side. So the position of the conductor and the magnetic flux line are parallel to each other and thus no flux will cut, so no current will be induced in the conductor. So in this position, when the conductor and the magnetic field is perpendicular to each other, uh, therefore no EMF, they are basically horizontal, so there will be no EMF induced, such that the conductor AP and CD are under the North Pole and South Pole respectively. Uh, that means while the conductor rotates from clockwise for another 90 degrees, means in this position there will be no EMF induced in any either side of the coil. But now if the conductor rotates 90 degrees further, then the CD side will be near the south pole and AB side will be near the north pole. Therefore, applying the Fleming's right hand rule, we can again easily find out the direction of the induced EMF or the current inside of the conductor. And here we can see that here the current will be from D to C in one side and then from B to A in other side. So it can be seen in the next slide. So the direction of the current can be indicated as A, D, C, B, and the direction of the current for the previous horizontal position of the rectangular turn is A, B, C, D. Here the EMF will be A, B, C, D, and in previous case it will be A, D, C, B. If the turn is again rotated towards the vertical position, then the induced current again reduces to zero. Thus, for one complete revolution of the rectangular turn, the current in the conductor reaches to the maximum and reduces to zero. And then in the opposite direction, it again reaches to the maximum and again reaches to the zero. Hence, one complete revolution of the rectangular turn produces one full sine wave of the current induced in the conductor, which can be termed as the generation of the alternating current by rotating a turn inside a magnetic field. For a particular synchronous generator, the field magnets rotate between the stationary armature conductors. The rotor and the shaft or the turbine blades are mechanically coupled to each other and rotates at a synchronous speed. That means here the rotor is continuously rotating by the turbine or the prime mover, and when the rotor is continuously rotating, the magnetic field which is developed in the rotor conductor, it will cut the stator conductors, that is the armature conductors, and then according to the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, the EMF will be induced in the armature conductor which is placed in the stator. And if the three-phase windings are kept in the stator, then three-phase EMF will be induced in the stator winding. So thus the magnetic flux cutting produces an induced EMF which causes the current flow in armature conductors. Thus, for each winding, the current flow in one direction for the first half cycle and current flow in the other direction for the second half cycle with a time lag of 120 degree as the coils are displaced by 120 degree. So this is the phase difference between the three phase windings. Hence, the output power of the synchronous generator can be shown by this symbol. So here the EMF induced in three different coils are shown. The coils are 120 degree apart from each other. Therefore, the EMF which is induced in the coils, there will be also 120 degree phase difference between them. So this is the EMF induced in the first coil, that is the red. After 120 degree, the EMF in the second coil, that is the yellow. And again after 120 degree, the EMF induced in the third coil, that is the blue. So in this way, we can get the three-phase induced EMF or the three-phase power from the synchronous generator or the alternator. Now, the applications of the alternator. The power for electrical system of modern vehicles produces from the alternator. In previous days, basically the DC generators or dynamos were used for this purpose. But after development of the alternator, the DC dynamos are replaced by more robust and lightweight alternators. Although the electrical system of the motor vehicles generally requires direct current, but still an alternator along with the rectifier instead of a DC generator is better choice for the complicated commutation is absent there. Because in case of DC generator, there is a commutator, so the commutation process is a complicated process. But if we use the alternator, then we can replace this machine and the commutation process or the commutator will be absent there. This special type of generator which is used in vehicle is known as the automotive alternator. Another use of the alternator is in the diesel electric locomotive. Actually, the engine of this locomotive is nothing but an alternator driven by the diesel engine. The alternating current produced by this generator is converted to the DC by rectifiers to feed all the DC traction motor, and this DC traction motor drives the wheel of the locomotive. According to the applications, the alternators are classified as automotive type, that is used in modern automobiles. They are used in diesel electric locomotive type, where the uh, diesel electric locomotive type, which is used in the diesel engine, that means the locomotives. Marine type, which is used in the submarines, the marine applications. Brushless type, which is used in electrical power generation plant as the main source of the power. As we have already mentioned, the synchronous generator or the alternator is the main important machine that is used in the different power stations to produce the electrical energy, whether it is the thermal power station or hydroelectric power station or any other type. And the radio alternators. These are basically used for low band radio frequency transmission. So this is also possible by using the alternators. So these are the applications of the alternator. That's all. Thank you.